Hi there, and hello, everybody, and welcome back to Love and Action Deconstruction Junction. I'm Dr. Flo, online coach and mentor, not telling you what I heard, but what I know. What I know is that you're loved and lovable. You've always been loved and lovable, and you're going to be loved and lovable for the rest of your life. Thank you so much for watching and holding space for love with us daily. It's me, Andre and the Flow, also sponsored and produced by Poppy Water and the House of Mommy Water, Poppy Water 33 on all platforms. And of course, you know this familiar face, co-host, producer, vocal captain, managing operating partner, Jack and Jill went down the hill to fetch a pail of everything. Tara Praolo Studio, what is good in your hood today, baby doll?
Well, sorry about that opening, y'all. My child decided to lean a little too far back and we crunched our head a little bit against mommy's chair, but now we are safely laid down and drinking our bottle.
Baba.
Who is this?
Gotta love a good Baba. And if you're not familiar with what we're doing here today, this is one of our many Love and Action TV and podcast shows. This segment is Deconstruction Junction. The reason why we came into harmony with this was because there are so many people, spiritual and otherwise, on the planet who are not speaking up and talking about, as Tara would say it in her usual non-baby falling over, notifications going everywhere state. She would have told you that she says the things. She says the ish that nobody else wants to say and pushes them in that direction. And there was so much to deconstruct. We're going to talk a little bit about the new Pope today, who is from Chicago, and delve into that. We're also going to be talking about justice for Charles McNair, and just really digging into the things that you may not be hearing at your breakfast, lunch, and dinner table. But there's certainly things that we're talking about in our community. Ceasefire now, freedom to Palestine. These oligarchs who want to suppress us got us fucked up. Just things like that, Tara. And why do you continue to come and report to the scene of the love crime week after week after week?
It is because I think that we all scroll past this in our feeds. If we're on social media, if we're on the internet, we see all of this stuff. And I'm not sure that everyone has a place to talk about it or a place to lay it down or a place to just acknowledge that that without your permission, it came into your feed, And so that's why I keep coming back, because it's like, we got to talk about it. We got to lay it down and see if we want to pick it back up. And so that I enjoy just kind of parsing through all of it, all the funnies and all of the very serious stuff that we talk about here, because it's so necessary. It's so necessary.
So necessary. You talk about the things that we did not give permission to, the trauma porn, the endless bombardment of ads and them trying to program us, essentially what I feel, into this giant psyop, which is a psychological operation of fear and paranoia. And one of the biggest things that they try to push us into is this idea of division and separation. And so we've deconstructed everything. My sex life, we've deconstructed religion, colorism, racism, Zionism, all of the words to get you clipped over in some spaces. We talk about them here in free and open space because it's important that the people who are not afraid to love and stand up for what is right and just and fair, we have to platform ourselves just as much as the buffoon upstairs. And the buffoon upstairs could be anything. It could be anything from Sky Daddy to your Orange Daddy around here. Anyway, Tara has the first piece of chicken of the day, so we're going to start this. I'm going to produce.
And if you wouldn't mind, before you leave the screen, pulling up comments. We have comments today. It looks like the Healing Heartland has joined us on YouTube.
This is great. Healing Heartland says, for our listening audience over on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, wherever you source your joy, the Healing Heartland experience says, wow, big shift is happening. We got to talk about it and acknowledge it and either keep it or let it go. Oh, absolutely. Thank you for pointing me to the comments. We're going to
Hey y'all, what's up? It's Friday, so I'm gonna keep it black, but I'm gonna keep it brief. Now, far be it from me to get to talking about sports. I may not know a damn thing about how many innings it takes to make a touchdown, but racism look the same no matter what court you trying to make a home run on. So y'all done left me with no choice. I smell collusion. Everybody and their mama was saying Shedeur Sanders was set to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft last weekend. Why? Because they had receipts to back this claim. 4,134 passing yards, 37 touchdown throws, and 8 interceptions down in Colorado just last year. Young Shedeur Sanders tied for 20th nationally with a quarterback rating of 75.5, which according to the men I know is some crazy work. And yet, instead of going in the first round on Thursday, Sanders ended up as the 144th pick in the 5th round on Saturday to the Cleveland Browns, where he won't even be starting, and in fact now has to compete with 3 other players for the same position. Are y'all nuts? Poor thing threw a party and everything, and y'all wanted to play in his face. Now, some folks are saying it's because he's a developmental quarterback. Hell if I know what that is. But one sentiment in particular kept surfacing over and over again. He's a backup at this point. He's gonna have to be wired for humble support of the starter. Did you catch it? Here's another. This guy has no awareness about how he's coming off or the type of leverage he does or doesn't have. So 2 things, actually. That he's gonna have to be humble, and that he isn't who he thinks he is. Who ain't? He's him. The record shows it. You just mad that he and his daddy know he's him, and that he and his daddy have a market level of influence in a majority black but somehow white dominated industry. That's usually how it goes. And they don't walk around with their heads down. Who do you think you are? You ain't nobody's master except, oops. We don't have to have the Columbine slave action conversation today. But we will talk about is this unearned and unnecessary deference that was quintupled down on at the same time a white man is in office quite literally trying to take us back to the 1960s. After conducting extensive field research, talking to men, infiltrating sports TikTok, it seems Shedeur Sanders' only offense is having confidence. Confidence in himself and his ability that's clearly been instilled by him by his very present and engaged and going for a damn thing, extremely confident father and coach. Come on, somebody. They hate to see a present black daddy. And if you know anything about Deion Sanders, the only professional athlete to play in both a Super Bowl and a World Series, he don't talk to just talk. Why? Because it ain't tricking if you got it. In a 60 Minutes interview, somebody asked him who he thought was the best coach. And he said, hand me a mirror so I can look at him. Yes, obviously he was going to say himself. Why would you even ask him that question? That's like when the white lady asked Toni Morrison would she ever write about white people so she could become a mainstream author. Is everybody losing it? Toni Morrison. So this conversation isn't just about one boy who was picked on to a point where system drastically impacted his career trajectory. Though I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up turning the Cleveland Browns around and started whooping everybody's ass. It's not just about other athletes that have been bullied in the media for their prowess like Sha'Carri Richardson or Angel Reese, the Williams sisters. And if you're catching the drift underneath my drift, recognize it's usually women, because ain't nobody ever said a motherfucking thing to Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and them, but I digress. This is about the white supremacist urge to ensure that black people don't conceive of the greatness they possess in its totality. They want you to doubt yourself. Deion Sanders instilled in his son the understanding and power in rejecting the notion that you have to scrape and bow and yes sir or no sir your way into what you are owed. The entirety of the NFL colluding to shut this boy out of the draft makes it apparent that that's not only what they expect, but what they require. Devaluation is the only through way to complete control. And how do you devaluate somebody? Humble and humiliate. The only way white people want to accept extraordinary black talent in white spaces is if the black person themselves is in as much disbelief about their ability to possess such a talent as you are. And that is why systemic oppression is systemic oppression. It's systemic oppression in any situation, arena, or any continent enacted on any group of people because it operates with the same tenets and ingredients every single time. The ingredient we're talking about here is that demanded deference. You see, deference keeps the lights on for systemic injustice. Because if you second guess anything or deny your ability to rise to the occasion, you will always just enough room so that no matter how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll, they will be the master of your fate. They will be the captain of your soul.
ooh, 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 ooh.
So there's that. I submit the NFL draft. Woocha! Humble and humiliate.
Whoa. Whoa. For 400 years.
400
And
years.
actively doing it in our faces.
Humble and humiliate.
That's all they want to do. Every day to me, too. People have very interesting ways. We talked before we came in here about the ways in which they try to humble and humiliate. People of all backgrounds and varieties. It ain't just the black people, ain't just the white people. People of all varieties. There is a ruling class and ruling class adjacent, and y'all know what they look like and what they can assimilate into and what they can blend into. You got to remember, like Jewish people and Irish people and Italian people were not white until recently as well. So those of you like, I'm Scottish, I'm Italian, like yeah, you're also able to blend into the people who lack empathy. And y'all lack a lot of empathy with your talking over me in Clubhouse looking asses. When was the last time you got talked over and trampled by somebody who thought they were ruling, Tara?
It happens like
That wasn't me. That wasn't me.
it happens like every day. And I think a lot of it is so, and this is why I bring a lot of race-based topics often, because it is so ingrained in society to treat each other that way, right? It goes back to that very simple analogy of, just because like my pie is whole and there is the prevailing belief that like if we allow someone to be an equal or have equity, that somehow our pie gets smaller, right? And it's so ingrained in the way that we treat each other and in the way that we meet each other. We were talking about that this morning in the clubhouse room, of just like most people, and I would invite you all who are watching this to think for a second about, if you enter spaces in reactivity, or if you enter spaces in honest, open, willing, and available. And honest, open, and willing, and available doesn't mean humble and humiliated, and it doesn't mean not confident. It doesn't mean that. But it works a hell of a lot better. And listen, she said she didn't know a damn thing about Lene. Lene was like, I don't know about innings in touchdown, how many innings it takes to make a touchdown. Listen, I did not know that Shador's daddy was who he is. Deion Sanders is like, that name is synonymous with the NFL. Like,
Thank you.
Crazy career. Like, just like he's one of the few that I actually know who they are that never played for the Minnesota Vikings.
Right.
Like, that's how good that person was.
Right. Everybody knows who Deion Sanders is. The problem is that people don't like black men loving themselves in public.
Right.
That is actually the sin and the major offense. I catch this every day. I'm a nigga in a wig on the internet. Okay. They don't like me in my joy and in my power and in my freedom, but I don't give a fuck, because you didn't give it to me, so you can't take it away from me. But people have all kinds of feelings, and they will try to humble you, or knock you down a peg, or try to prove that they're smart enough to be in your presence, and all kinds of other things. People, I'm telling you, people tap dance like a motherfucker in front of me and then try to like pretend like I'm not as great as I am. That's nuts. I am magic here. And anybody who's exhibiting magic in who they are, and black boy joy and black boy excellence, should be praised. But she's right. We see exactly what it is. So this morning I'm sitting over on Clubhouse. I'm in a room, a spiritual room filled with spiritual people, Tara. And I caught the tail end of the conversation out of context. I can send y'all like the link if you want the receipts. I didn't take to the stage, but the last thing I heard this lady say, and it was a dog whistle in the room to me. The last thing she said, and she's with a bunch of, it's a mixed demographic room, but this room is heavy. I've been attending for 4 years, and I go there for the knowledge, but it's heavy on the white spiritual lens. Like, you come into that room from time to time. It's a Course in Miracles room. I used to go to Marianne Williamson's talks every Tuesday night in New York City. So I'm very well versed in the Course in Miracles. I can quote it. I've studied it for over a decade. I love it. But this is one of the like widest maintained A Course in Miracles spaces on all of Clubhouse. And I'm like, I'll put it this way. It's so white that they had to like start a black led space so that people could like talk black about the Course in Miracles. It was like JC was part of it. Like it's like a whole thing. You'll know the cast of characters. Anyway, the last thing this white lady said on her way off the stage this morning was that she was so happy about the spiritual enlightenment, the spiritual enlightenment in the room, but she had a problem with the word woke and having the word woke being attached to her, and they tried their best on stage to be like, the words have power, but they only have the power we give them. They tried a lot of ways to kind of bend and twist all of it. But I was in the comment section heavy on, I don't have an issue with being woke and awake in the world. And I have no issue with also being woke in terms of social justice. And, and then it devolves into this room where two white men were on the stage discussing the power of the N-word. Like, yo, talk about cringe. These are people who also, whenever I'm around, people. There are people in life who say my name with a certain kind of flair to it. You've heard it, Tara. They're like Dr. Flo, or they're like Andre. Like, these are people who do that to me.
Andre.
Andre. We are trained performers, Tara and I. We are very attuned to everything. We're listening more than talking, like even when we're talking. And so it's just so funny the way in which they say my name. So I was never going to be able to like get up on the stage and like actually like talk to them and like say these things, because it's always like them trying to like guide me to a more peaceful spiritual approach. Like for some reason they don't think that social justice and saying shut the fuck up oppressive white people is not spiritual. I don't even understand why I can't say shut the fuck up oppressive whitey. Like why can't I say that in my wokeness? And I think that poor white people should also be saying the same. Like we're not going to center this weird notion that to be awake and woke and aware of the hardships of people who don't look like me, including the people in Palestine. Palestinians are lighter than me. There are Palestinians in New York. There are Palestinians in New York right now who are masquerading as a white lady. There are Egyptians masquerading as white people, Ethiopians and beyond. What are y'all talking about? What are y'all talking about? But see, they figured out a way to get people to feel like their inclusive energy is a 4-letter word. And I think that is another major psychological operation. The idea that to bring everyone to the table and to consider that everyone needs to eat and that everybody wants to be happy, healthy, and free, somehow, like including the black people who y'all are scared of in the grocery store. Y'all are terrified to this day. And the reason why you're terrified in the Food Lion is because you lack empathy everywhere else in your life towards people who do not live in your lived experience. When someone clicked me a couple weeks ago or whenever it was, Tara, into the idea that it's wild that if you see a person that's lighter than a brown bag, you have to question their level of empathy. That's my brown bag test. If you're as light as Tara or lighter, I have to wonder how much empathy you have for people that don't look like you. That's my test. Now, we found that this lady sitting on the screen has wells like Frodo Baggins empathy for the other. And she puts her money where her mouth is, and she puts her ass on the line daily by blackening the canon and setting black people and their voices free. You can blame her for my open throat chakra and my ability to yell at people that they're loved and lovable. It's her that allows for this. But they do not as a culture have empathy for anybody. And that's what we're calling out. We are awake enough to say your empathy is lacking. How dare you make 10, 20, 30% more than everybody else in society and not give it to someone who's browner than you? How dare you? And when I clicked last week into the fact that these are people who lack empathy over centuries, I started relating to everybody the same. That's why you are the White Lady Whisperer in Love and Action Network. It's on the business card. Because these people want to play spiritual and talk all kinds of habba-babba. But they do not want to. They don't like it. Something in the AI said, he's doing nigga shit. So let's turn off his AI. You know what I was told the other day though, cousin Deb, who's going to be on the show soon to bring whatever topics that is in her heart. White people have privilege, and black people have privilege. And everybody with their cell phone privilege, There's cell phone privilege. There's technology. There's utilities.
USian privilege.
One more time.
USian privilege, like being from the US, is a
North
privilege.
American privilege.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That how do you know?
access to maple syrup, cookie. You know, and cookies.
Okay, wait, because I've been thinking about this ever since we talked about the maple cookies.
Yes.
In my ADHDness, currently, as my child tries to eat my computer charger,
We love the baby.
this baby today is like,
First LIU baby that we've ever walked through, and we've been doing it over a year.
yeah, this is crazy. Somebody on Sunday was like, "How old is Piper now?" And I was like, almost a year. And then I realized, nope, they turned a year several days before that. Anyway, okay. When I went to Canada, they had at the gift shop of Niagara Falls these like maple, like they were almost like caramels, but they were shaped like a maple leaf, and they were tiny, and they were so good. There are very few things that I think about from my overseas and my international travels. That's one, and then the potato soup in Switzerland, and then the champagne cake also from Switzerland.
Champagne cake.
That champagne cake was so good.
Girl, baby, girl, don't even play.
It was so good. And then some things in the Czech Republic, and I like had pizza in Italy. It was a whole thing. Anyway, that is a whole side note. I wanted there was something.
Scroll the comments. We got say it. We got couldn't say that in a room.
No, it's gone. It's gone. Well, I know what I was gonna say. I think that like and this has been like a journey, I think, for everybody of like wanting the separations to be clearer, right? Like if you are on the black side, you act this type of way. If you are on the white side, you act this type of way. But the reality is that there are so many intersections in terms of class, in terms of sexuality, in terms of gender, like there are so many intersections that we find these people that are lacking empathy all over the place, right? And it can come in any
the Lord.
sort of shape.
Wait, pause.
Hello? You went frozen, baby. Are you here?
They said what you're not going to do is rail on the establishment that much.
They said bye-bye.
Bye. Back to your point, because yeah, we bricked hard. They said what you're not going to do is speak about wokeness and not be interrupted.
It was actually probably Deb's comment about Canadian maple cookies that caused it.
Remember how we were talking about Gasa and they completely stripped our audio from YouTube?
What is wrong with you?
It's wild out here. All the same.
Wild.
Fuck them all the same.
All of them. Yes.
All the same.
Anyway, I was just saying that because of all the intersections and because we're dealing with so many isms in today's society, oftentimes the lack of empathy is carried in various shades, various
Oh,
races,
yeah,
various.
I'm talking about white people and their lack of empathy, and I got bricked.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad you remember, because I was like, what did I do? And then yeah, the global lack of empathy of people lighter than a paper bag.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
And I think I was going to say something about white privilege as well, that like, I mean, I talk about white privilege as well, but at the same time, I think when we start stating that people have privileges that other people don't have, it's exactly what Lene was talking about, which is like assuming that the only way Black people exist is like and exist in excellence is if a white person moves out of the way, right? And so like I just stop right now. That hurt. That hurt.
Oh no.
That is not nice. We do not do that. Ouchie. Sorry, y'all. My child likes to scritch and grip, and it really is quite painful. And 1-year-olds don't really understand. So anyway,
Everybody,
I think when we start saying that like people have inherent privilege, that's also just reinforcing the idea, the delusion of white supremacy, and it's not real. So neither is white privilege then, right? So I caution that you know, and I talk about
white people ain't real. White privilege ain't real. White supremacy definitely ain't real. Have you seen these people? We'd have water in Flint. We'd have solar energy. We'd be off the grid. We'd have a whole different world if they were truly supreme. Stop it. I literally had to ask and demand, but mostly ask, and she acquiesced, that Tara never say the word white supremacy around me again. Where the fuck is that? I don't believe in the Loch Ness monster. The fuck? Supreme to who? Show me the receipts. Show me the receipts of supremacy. People think, what? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Let's move on to political news as we love on the babe. I'm gonna make it bigger for you. That's crazy. Supreme to who? So we can call it white mediocrity. We can call it a winning of the lack of empathy Olympics, but we're not gonna dignify it as supreme. What the fuck?
Okay. Education department stops $1 billion in funding for school mental health. That was one that Dr. Flo sent to the Deconstruction chat on WhatsApp. Also, there was a Canadian election last week, days after a Canadian election that hinged on who would best stand up to U.S. President Donald Trump. He is at the center of an election in another liberal democracy. Trust in the United States is plummeting in Australia, which votes Saturday. I don't know how this went. I didn't check. Amid global financial turmoil sparked by tariffs Trump has imposed on trading partners around the world, including Australia, a U.S. ally and vital security partner in countering China. As in Canada, Australia's opposition Conservative Party, the Coalition, was primed to win before Trump returned to office, thanks to public anger over the cost of living and record high home prices, but it has since lost support among voters increasingly concerned about how their governments will handle Trump. And then the last one says, Temu. Ooh, ooh, Temu. Ooh, ooh, Temu. Temu stopped shipping products from China. It's behind the comment to U.S. customers. The e-commerce site acted after the Trump administration said it would close a loophole that allowed low-cost Chinese-made items to enter the U.S. without import fees. So, and also adding to this, that the NEA has pulled a number of grants from arts organizations. I've seen $25,000 pulled from Portland Opera. I've also seen Mizna, which is a Palestinian arts organization. A ton of their funding was pulled. So anyway, lots of monetary stuff, and as Dr. Flo says often, follow the money. And then of course it is a little bit. It's like a little tiny silver lining that there has been so much backlash to these tariffs that it is even affecting global elections. And for me, that's the big one, because we've seen this huge swing over the last 20 years of authoritarianism in the global landscape of politics, which I'm frankly much more interested in than the United States politics, because United States politics are boring. It's imperialism and fascism. That's all it is.
Theater.
Well,
These are all theater kids.
right.
Cory Booker stood up there for days, and we still don't have universal health care and a living wage for everybody.
Right. And it didn't stop the Medicare cuts from getting passed, I think.
At all.
Anyway, so that's the kind of political news. Is it's, we're not really protecting anybody, but as I say almost every week when we're talking about politics, and this is a Christiana Smith thing, but I also think we can take it to heart a little bit of remembering that grants were like 100 years ago. Grants were not the way that we made art, right? Grants were not. I don't even know if they were in existence. I don't know when they started happening, but I do know that there was a time before grants. And so those of you that are affected by that, I know it hurts. I know it seems like there's no way out, but I can almost guarantee you that if you reach out to your community, money will be found. We saw this in the sponsorship that Pride, Twin Cities Pride, I think is the organization. Target was a sponsor for them. They pulled out of that. They raised the money in less than 24 hours of what Target had given to that. And this maybe ties into the, maybe we want to delve into the Shiloh story here while we're talking about money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really think this is an opportunity to imagine something different, because a lot of us get a little too comfortable in the way things currently are, and we don't ask who it's benefiting and who it's not benefiting. And then we end up in situations like this where your funding gets pulled and you go, oh my God, I don't know how to do anything else. And that's a problem. That's a failure in that leadership of that particular entity. I yield. So sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back for Shiloh, because any good opportunity to drag someone who's benefiting off of hatred is a day well served for me. But I want to take each of these topics that you were talking about and just respond. It's very ironic to me that the education department is stopping $1 billion in funds for mental health. First of all, if y'all have seen the red markup, and it is satire, but it wasn't done by Harvard, but it was done by somebody. If you see the ways in which the Secretary of Education in this country, who is tied into the wrestling regime of our country, the McMahons, if you see the way she writes, you will understand, and she and her team, if you see the way that she and her team writes, you'll understand why we need more education, not less. And we need the people who are being educated to be in the best mental health space in order to receive that education. And they are intentionally breaking this stuff down so that they can privatize. I guess something's happening with the child. I'll check my show notes, y'all. There we go. Yeah, we are bring your kid to work kind of operation here. She'll be back. Yeah, we need more mental health care, and we need more adequate education on the parts of everybody. As it relates to Canadian politics, I don't know much about it, but what I do know is that guy, the new prime minister, he went and sat in that giant White House sandbox and talked out of two sides of his ass. One moment it was like, oh, Trump's so great. And then the next moment was like, Canada can't be sold. And I just can't get a read off of that guy quite yet without knowing his politics. All I know is what I saw with my own eyes. One moment he was like fist bumping outside with Trump. And then the next moment he was like, Canada's not for sale. I don't know what he's inherited from Trudeau and beyond. But to me, it looks like another old white guy. As was said in the chat, and we just need better than that. As it relates to Timu, and I think our resident mom is back. Remember the day that our old acquaintance was like that I was on your titty? It never gets old. Timu is so funny to me because you can tell that they are intentionally trying to pressure cook and heat up the country in every way. People who are paying even $1 or $2 more, like even in my hippie lettuce department, the wraps for my hippie lettuce is like going up. That's going to start to affect people's ability to have pleasure in their lives. Not my hippie lettuce budget, that stays untouched. But it's people are going to feel it in the areas of food. They're still going to want. That's everything going off in my house telling me about the Clubhouse room at 3. So could you ping into Clubhouse and just drop them in the Clubhouse chat over in our WhatsApp community a link to the YouTube and see if they come by and say hi today? We're on our mark and on our assignment. And we're not Temu quality. We're the best of the best. Which is why when Raggedy lighter in their melanin, because I was corrected on Clubhouse the other day that everyone is melanated, so there's no such thing as a non-melanated person. I was using that over the last couple of years as a bit of a jab, like our non-melanated, everyone has melanin, they just don't have as much as everybody else. So this is just a lady who was really in her separation bag, y'all. Like she was really in it deep. When she called that autistic brown child on the playground a nigger. Once again, we talked about it already. Like, it's a lack of empathy. Like, these are people who want to turn life into a WWE match where nobody wins. Now, we've also joked in our network about the fact that I wish I had a word in my vocabulary like rutabaga or ambrosia. I wish I had some kind of word that I could say that would call in the action of $700,000. These people are using these words because they want to ruin your day. They have so much pain and suffering and hurt inside. They're not. Maybe they feel like the dreams they had in their childhood or the dreams they had when they were younger. Maybe the fact that lady is on the playground having to deal with a kid in the first place. I mean, all adults have a level of frustration, and then furthermore, all parents. I'm never having children. This is known. If I could have a vasectomy, I'm gay. But babies don't live. But babies do not live. But I would still have not yet. Okay, we're not evolved there yet. And I'm telling you, but if I were a straight person, I would have had a vasectomy 20 years ago, because bringing a child into this is frustrating. And I have deep empathy because we are kind and empathetic people. We are. I have empathy for a lady who was going through such a rough time on the playground that she wanted to call a black child a nigger. It's weird. It's got to be a rough day for you to be that kind of person. But to sit in a container where it's then inflaming the further division is crazy, because her kid needed the love of the parents on that field. And then that black child needed the love of every adult. Whenever adults are in spaces around children, which is why I'm very strategic about how and when I work with children, and I do work with children and my partner works with children, we're very strategic about that, because how you live your life as an example around children is important, and it informs generations over generations of people to come. Where has this Shiloh, like, what a way to become famous. Like, how does that landed on you? Because I don't want to be famous for bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple things. Number one, I frankly would rather it be on the outside than keeping it to yourself, so we know exactly who you are. And I say that about a lot of situations, and I do feel bad that it happened to a child, but we should be pursuing, mayhaps seeing how she treats her child. I hope somebody
Mm,
is checking on that child,
mm.
because anyone that would do that to another person's child.
Wait, is there a number I can call to make sure that she's taking care of her child?
Um, it's probably
Where's
the
she
number for
from?
DPS and whatever
Where's
state.
Shiloh from?
I
Shiloh
don't know that
racist. I'm just
information.
look now forevermore. I'm gonna type in Shiloh racist, and then her name's gonna come up, and she's
Yep.
actually in Minnesota with you, Tara.
Oh yeah. Now that you say that, Rochester, Minnesota, right?
Okay, so can you figure out where the Rochester, Minnesota
Call us
CPS?
at. Here you go.
Yeah, 507. Yeah, let's put that on the screen.
Yep.
Oh, where's my comment section?
I can't comment in here apparently.
That's okay. I got you.
You got
I
it.
got you. Call us at 507-328-6130. Y'all, I'm gonna call today and just make sure that and send an email to make sure that Shiloh's kids are okay.
Yeah. And this is a person, to talk what we were talking about earlier, lacking empathy. This is definitely a person that turned around and utilized that lack of empathy in the way that they have been taught. Like, I mean, as much as we talk about Jane using the hard ER, that sweet little old white lady that used the hard ER, you know what I'm talking about? She done.
I'm sorry.
Listen, she said racism is learned, and I do believe that.
I'm
right?
getting water. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get water because you conjured that crazy. And I saw like 3 different videos at the same time in my head. Keep going.
she definitely believed that racism is learned, and behaviors it's a set of behaviors that is whiteness and is aligned with white mediocrity and white nationalism and takes part in whiteness, and those behaviors happen to come out of less melanated folks more often than not, but they are learned behaviors. They are taught over, and it might not be explicitly taught, but it is implicitly taught in the ways that people act. And so the other thing is that and I've been preaching this on my platforms from time to time, but like, I need y'all in the larger public to be a little bit smarter and be a little bit more discerning on who you're supporting, because the day of the boycott, the boycott Target Day or whatever the hell that was, where we like the thing was like, everybody don't spend money today, don't spend any money, it'll make such a dent in the economy, and then all y'all went and donated $100,000 to some white guy who had R-worded people. Are you okay? Are you okay? And before that, somebody else raised a whole bunch of money for something. Like, the behavior is the learned ignorance and the lack of research that y'all do in the people that you support. And that behavior, we got to talk about that. You all got to be more responsible with where you put your money. And I believe that some of y'all are like, oh my God, this poor woman, like the kid was stealing. Yeah, okay, so the kid was stealing. Who cares? Who cares? It's a child. It's a child. Right? And some of y'all swing real quick from children don't have any rights to like children deserve all the rights in the world. Like, some of y'all have a really strange swing.
Well, what it also is anchored in, if I may bridge, is that some of y'all are treating kids as adults, either through abusive means. Young black men, young black boys don't get an opportunity to like actually mature. Society operates on black young men as if they're grown ass, like the way she was talking to him, even, and talking in his presence was be the way that you would talk around a grown ass man.
Right. And adultification, right? In the same way that like white people will look at, or people that believe themselves white, or people that lack empathy, or people that have these learned behavior traits, right? That we're talking about. We were talking about toolkits this morning. There's a toolkit of whiteness. Look it up. It's called the Tenets of White Supremacy. Look it up. Okay. Anyway, so in that toolkit, right, is when you look at Black and brown children, you believe them to be older than they actually are. So you look at an 8-year-old and you guess them to be 16, right? Or you look at a teenage Black boy and you guess them to be 25. Right. And so this is the adultification that doesn't get, but then you see a 16-year-old non-melanated girl, a less melanated girl, and you believe them to be, 12. Right. Weird.
Yeah, weird people in weird times, and we will continue to deconstruct and to speak truth and love to power. Which brings us to the next slide. We won't stay here because we've done so many episodes about this. We have really put our platform in the foreground of this, but not to grandstand, Wanda. I have my own stages, and you should come to my shows sometimes. They are something to behold. I don't need anybody else's stage to be my loved and lovable self. And what's crazy about these light workers and healers is sometimes there's like a grab for the microphone. I'm like, girl, I only came for the food anyway. And in most of the spaces that I'm in these days, there ain't no food on Clubhouse. So it's kind of wild. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. I believe that Wanda will complete her divine assignment, and we'll figure out how it operates. So if y'all know what I'm talking about, Wanda Cox is the executive director of a nonprofit that's based where I am based here in Lexington, North Carolina, working on the love experience. She's working on a project called Justice for Charles McNair. Charles McNair is a person who was in his teenage years taken into the back door of a home of a 56-year-old woman who doesn't look like me and Tara. And this 56-year-old woman who does not look like me and Tara took advantage of this young man, and now there's no police report and no proper due process. And he has been in a North Carolina jail cell for 44 years. And he earns 30 cents a day, and nobody wants to talk to anybody or us about it. So that's what we're trying to figure out. We're working a couple different angles on this. My team is encouraging me to take a more positive angle, but at the end of the day, accountability sometimes doesn't feel positive to people who, we want the governor of the state. We want the governor of the state. We want the leadership, in his vicinity. We want everyone to not be afraid that speaking up is going to harm this man, but truly to do the work that sets people free. And y'all like to be, even the spiritual people and the non-spiritual people, y'all like to talk about a lot. Y'all like to talk about a lot of fucking shit. But you're not really ever bringing up like these people who are erroneously imprisoned at the tune of 30 cents a day. Because the state doesn't want to pay someone a living wage to come and clean the toilets. They make this man who's falsely accused and falsely imprisoned. Even if he did what they say he did, that would be like a 12-year sentence. He's been there for 44 years. So what the fuck is going on? But y'all can continue to have your seances and pull your cards and do whatever the fuck you want to do. This is why the woo-woo people don't really hang out with Tara and I a lot, because y'all like to pray a lot and pull cards and all this bullshit, but you ain't calling nobody for Charles today. And I'm from the school of thought that faith without works is fucking dead. Faith and belief and spirituality without some action is dead to me. And I mean deader than the Santa Muerte on my altar. Deader than her. Right? So it's just like, what are we doing here? Did you want to say something this week about Justice for Charles McNair, or pass on it? Like, what comes up for you when we talk about this every week again?
I mean, it just shows the way it's allowed to be ignored. Right? Because Charles is not even the only story like this, not only the only person like this in North Carolina. And you would think national stories would be written. I saw I saw, and maybe it was the thing that you posted that I thought was from Willa, but was from William. Um, you know, in the same, no, it was a TikTok I saw this morning about that gentleman who shot the police officer who killed. I don't know if it was the same police officer, but shot a police officer because his son was killed by police.
No. Let's be clear, because you're not gonna get me tagged for misinformation. We can be loud and we can be loud or wrong, but we cannot be loud and wrong. His son was pursued by the cops who killed him. He then ran over a random cop in retribution.
Roger. Okay.
And
so
and to that I still say,
yeah.
chef's
So
kiss.
what I saw was like this person talking about it and saying like, if he had been white, if this gentleman had been white, there would be national stories written about this man. Case and point, Luigi Mangione.
I forgot about Luigi Mangione, Mangia la pizza.
Of the Mangione dynasty, right? And so it's not wrong. Mangione estate is not wrong. Yep. Pick it up, folks. Look up the money. Follow the money. Listen, it's not wrong. But yeah, there's an element of the allowance for it to be ignored for whatever reason that people think they're ignoring it. It's allowed. So that's yeah.
And the reason why we don't have a lot of friends and a lot of followers yet is because people don't want to talk about the pile of shit in the middle of the room. People will sweep things under the rug until there's a pile of shit that you trip over and you're like, what the fuck is that? That's a pile of shit that you were ignoring and sweeping things under the rug. And you didn't want to talk to Tara about it. You didn't want to talk to me about it. You tried to like drive by us on a Clubhouse or ask us stupid ass questions. You tried a lot of ways to get out of the conversation. It ain't going to change, y'all. It's not going to change. Like, why do you lack empathy and what do you want to do about it today?
Right.
Anyway, maybe this guy
this was an addition, a late addition, because we actually made this deck on Saturday, but we late editioned it because we moved to a new time. So the new Pope was elected, which didn't take very much time, y'all. But anyway, so this says white smoke billows from Sistine Chapel chimney. Cardinals elect new Pope on day 2 of secret conclave. Now, I don't know why they call it secret conclave, given that like
we know what's happening.
We know what's happening, so it's not a secret because we're watching for the smoke. Y'all are weird. Okay,
you're in there. We see you behind the door eating your sandwiches.
Y'all are weird. Anyway, but we also found out while we were discussing that this is the first U.S. Pope. And I just need y'all just pause for 1 second, because when you say American, that could be from South America, Latin America, or Canada. Okay, so we got a U.S. He's from Chicago.
He's from Chicago.
He's a white man from Chicago.
White man from Chicago.
And he's taking the name Leo the 14th, Pope Leo the 14th. And now he's in charge of 1.5 billion people.
I told Tara in our room before this particular podcast taping, thank y'all for hanging out with us as we tape the podcast and amplify our love in the world. I said, now when we say leave trans people and homosexuals alone, he won't go como se dice, like, and try to like pretend like he doesn't understand what the fuck we are saying. Like the Pope from Chicago should understand when we say love people more and leave trans people alone and leave gay people alone. Now his American Pope ass will be able to hear our English in black and white, and there won't be no missing translation or nothing like that. I'm happy about it. Chicago to East Coast and West Coast, here the love needs to be amplified.
Congratulations, Robert, on your lifetime appointment.
Don't call him Robert. Call him by his name.
Oh, sorry, Pope Leo the 14th.
Leo. Call him Leo.
Leo, like Leonardo da Vinci. I don't know anything about the previous 13 Leos, but maybe I'll find out. Maybe I'll do a deep dive.
I promise you, there are HBO specials about it. There's so much footage and archive. You would have thought they planned the whole thing. JD Vance shows up on one day. Homie dies the next.
Well, they told us. They told us.
No. Okay. JD, all I know is that JD Vance shows up. Homie dies like the next day.
Literally like less than 12 hours later.
Like,
like, I am ejecting from this planet. Goodbye. His robotic self was like, I am shutting down. No.
and then like within days, y'all, homie from Chicago, who can speak the King's English and can lead 1 point whatever billion people. Man, I hope that they plant their compass towards love, because anything else is going to be some bullshit. Anyway, let me move forward into Grateful Spiritual Community. Let me tell you something. The reason why I brought this is because Tara was in Clubhouse with me experiencing. I love Clubhouse because it's like a giant social experiment that I'm like active in. I've been on the platform for over 4 years. I was there. Tara and I both participated in high level experiments there that went up to the top. Like we were in like beta groups of the original houses. Frozen hot chocolate was like a whole like thing of them getting user feedback, and it was just like we basically built the project. And so it's funny now as like a architect of the product to be kind of still engaging the archetypes of people. And one archetype of person, and be on the lookout for this type of person, is a spiritual person or a person who claims himself to be spiritual, who does not have an anchor and heart of gratitude. Now, before you get your little red pens out and your little red markers to fail me in class, just know I'm not prescriptive. I don't give a fuck what y'all do when I'm around or when I'm not around, as long as it's not harmful. But if you ever clock a spiritual person in the wild and they can't come up off of 3 things to be grateful for on the fly, consider crossing the street. Now, Tara's not spiritual at all, which is wonderful, because after we engage all the spiritual community and after we engage all these things, and I'm always being like, girl, come over here and tell me what you see. Like for 4 years. Like, oh, girl, like.
That room this morning, I was like, bye.
I saw you down there, and I said, she ain't gonna like this very much, because these people like to be spiritual.
They really believed in white Jesus. I'll give them that. They really believed in white Jesus.
You don't?
20 minutes a week.
20-minute quota. Man, quota. And trust me, she punches that clock more than any other clock. In for Jesus, out. Y'all, you know what Jesus would do? Jesus would say, stop dropping bombs on people you do not know.
And on like his birthplace, like I don't think he told you to drop bombs on the place of his birth.
I mean, maybe like Italy drop one. We're gonna get so clipped for this. Maybe drop one on Antarctica. Like of all the places that you think Jesus, Yeshua would want you to bomb, why there?
Right. Like that's very strange that you would think that the man that you all call Jesus and the man that y'all think was whatever you think he was, child, and whatever color you think he was, even though the Bible tells you what color he was. Okay.
The Bible says it was woolly, which sounds very 4C to me.
Bronze, and he was bronze of skin and woolly.
He sounds like he's hot. He sounds hot.
Yeah.
Sounds hot, but he's not the color of an 8.5 by 11.
No, not exactly. There was a thread on that, and there were a whole bunch of white people that were like, "What does that mean?" And I was like,
which is also ridiculous and further divide, because there's nobody that I've met who's been
8.5 by 11 colored. Yeah, no.
Yeah, but it is a vibe.
It's a whole thing. But yeah, he definitely he didn't he wouldn't have been like, let's war over the place in which I was born. Like that's weird. That's a weird interpretation.
That's colonialism, and that's what they did in Hawaii. These capitalists and venture capitalists are decimating and burning and bombing whole patches of lands for their use and purpose. They don't care about us. They don't care about people. It's unfortunate, and it further concretizes our idea of the lack of empathy.
Yeah. I believe there's a slide after this that has some threads about it. Never stop talking about Palestine. Never stop talking about Sudan. Never stop talking about the Congo. Never stop talking. And then another one, which I liked, Palestinians are not facing starvation. They are being starved to death by Israel. Yet our government still refuses to end all arms sales and implement sanctions, granting endless impunity for Israel's crimes against humanity. End the blockade and stop the genocide. And I will also say that since I put this together, Israel has basically announced that they are going to do an ethnic cleansing of the remainder of the 1.7 million people in Gaza. Bisan came out with a last video, essentially, and they are not allowing any aid in. And and actually, there's a whole Pod Save the World episode on it that I started listening to this morning. There's an hour and a half on what exactly was said and voted on by the Israeli government and what is going to be happening. And AMB posted something. I haven't read enough on it to tell you all exactly what's happening, but this is the gist. And I've seen a lot of defeatists like, well, there's nothing left we can do. Like, it didn't matter all the work that we did. It still matters that we continue to do the work regardless of what happens. In the same way that it does matter, but it doesn't matter if we ever get Charles out of jail, because it's about our inner humanity and the way in which we treat people rather than just giving up on people. So continue to call your representatives, continue to put your eyes on Gaza, continue to talk about Congo, continue to talk about Sudan, continue to talk about Palestine. We are still, the West Bank is still going to try to be occupied by Israel, particularly if Gaza is completely leveled. These are things that we can still be paying attention to and still be raising voice for, even if we, and I hope this will not be true. I hope it will not come to pass, but I do not have that power. But it is a disempowered stance to say that nothing changed, because everything changed in this process in the last 2 years that it'll be 2 years in October. That we've really been putting eyes on Gaza specifically. We didn't elect a person who stood with genocide. People looked at people, like the people that voted for Kamala. You looked at a lot of the people that didn't vote for Kamala, looked at Kamala and said, genocide supporter. Trump, genocide supporter. I'm not voting. Right? A lot of the people did that, and that changed. It changed a lot of the landscape, and I think it pulled down some of the polarity that exists in U.S. politics. That this was, and there's more to talk about inside of that. I was talking this morning about Black liberation versus Palestinian liberation and how that stance is sort of viewed, and I think it should be Black liberation and Palestinian liberation. Right? All liberation of all people.
All power to the people.
Yeah. So I do think you acknowledge that something has changed, even if this comes to pass. Right? It still meant something. It still changed people. It still activated people. It has still done many things. It has shined a light on independent journalism. And so we can continue to raise voice for it as long as it continues to happen.
And also be aware, folks, that listen, I said this on Clubhouse and clear rooms all the time. Whatever you're doing right now and I mean right now, is what people would have been doing in their own regard during the Holocaust, during slavery, during any hardship that's ever happened. There's been the people who've been enacting the violence, like the ICE workers and things like that. And then they're the people who are either paying attention to discussions like this in the ways that they can on the podcast and the television show and the clubhouse rooms and the things that we do, or they're going like, I don't want to talk about it. And I think not talking about it furthers the harm. So that's the reason why Tara and I show up. It's kind of like we're not like, what can we do kind of people. We're like, let's go out and do something. It's 3:00 on a, 2:00 on a Thursday. Like, why not go and speak up for people? And here's what the activists tell us. The Bisons of the world and the people who have their phones still active in Gaza and in war-torn countries, they beg us to continue to do shows like this. And I don't do this for attention. It's like they cannot go live on Facebook and YouTube and be bricked in the ways we were today for being very real about love and truth in our heart. They cannot, Bison could not be live for an hour and 5 minutes in the ways we have because they're under bomb fire. So that's why we do what we do, because we don't want to feel helpless and hopeless in the world. And I feel like in Middle Passage, Holocaust, other things, people were feeling like there was nothing they could do. And there's always something that you can do. Your time, talent, and treasure matters in the world. You can give your time, you can give your talent, or you can give some of that propina, that treasure, that donation, that stuff that helps our company operate, but also that if you don't want to give it to me, don't give it to me, but like give your time, talent, and treasure to something positive. We use a process in our network called emergent strategy. I won't stay on this too long today, but I want to talk about the power of what it means to allow your strategy for your life and the goals for your life to just take on. There's a copy of it. This is a foundational text. Shout out to Adrienne Maree Brown. We call her AMB for short. Amazing poet and songstress and light worker on Instagram and beyond. I've never met her, but I think Tara and I will do seminars with her in the future, at least one before I go rutabaga. But the premise of the book is that nature teaches us everything that we need in order to be okay in our personal human being lives. And one of the key tenets of emergent strategy is this idea of flowing as water does. She talks a lot about water. Poppy Waters reading one of her seminal books about mammals in water and how they teach us so much about life and their flow and their ability to adapt. And so I just want to speak briefly in a session now about how we use it here. The way that it's showing up for me mostly is by trusting people. And I don't trust nobody. I have trust issues. I've been abused and harmed throughout my life in some ways, self and otherwise. So I'm a little, I love everybody, but I'm a bit warm. I'm a bit slow to warm sometimes in certain, arenas. And emergent strategy allows for me to see myself as change. Beautiful thing about water is that water can be as firm as a rock, as ice. It could also be as invisible as steam and still burn you. That's a burn that I got. Poppy Water does these large hot baths, and I lifted it to be nosy about what was in it. And the steam that's invisible, water, burned me. So water can burn, and water can chill, and water can cut, and water can flow. And as we grow in our personal development and spiritual development, we will find that nature has been trying to teach us some things the whole time as it relates to our personal lives and also the ways in which we run our businesses. Like I could tell that a change in Tara's studio since reading the book and being attached to Love and Action Network. We just kind of flow generally well on most days at the pizza shop. because nature would have it. You don't see birds outside struggling in the air. You don't see them out. There's cats at my back door asking for the food Tara sent, but the birds don't yell and scream at me for food. They are divinely held and taken care of, and that's also part of our personal emergent strategy. Tara, I love this shit. Like, where is it? You have a page that's
I have the principle. It's called Principles of Emergent Strategy. This is hang on, that page doesn't have a page number on it. This is page 41. It'll be quick because there's not many. It says, in the study and practice of emergent strategy, there are core principles that have emerged and that guide me in learning and using this idea and method in the world. I gather them here with the expectation that they will grow. Small is good. Small is all. The large is a reflection of the small. Change is constant. Be like water. There is always enough time for the right work. There is a conversation in the room that only these people at this moment can have. Find it. Never a failure, always a lesson. And here's the one Dr. Flo has been talking about for days. Trust the people. If you trust the people, they become trustworthy. Move at the speed of trust. Focus on critical connections more than critical mass. Build the resilience by building the relationships. Less prep, more presence. What you pay attention to grows. So those are the principles of emergent strategy. And it's literally like, it's maybe a full page put together, but it's kind of like
you need to make a handout for that, for the network inside and outside. Just yeah, you have it already marked, so we'll come back to that.
Yeah, I have it moved twice actually, y'all. I have one on this side and one on the other side.
Yeah, it's you were really excited about that piece.
Yeah, well, and for me, the highlight. Where did it go? Page 40. What did I say? 42. There it is.
41, I think you said.
41 and 42. So there's always enough time for the right work. And then the other ones, I have the trust the people and the less prep, more presence. But I feel like for me, the one that's calling to me right now, and I quoted this, I think this morning or yesterday, move at the speed of trust. But I had forgotten the next part. Focus on critical connections more than critical mass, which is something that Dr. Flo and I have really kind of I don't want to say bickered, but we've discussed many, 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 many times of is it about finding 1,000 people or is it about finding 5 that are actually in it? Is it about finding 500 people to come into this coalition or to build it with 10 or 12? And so reading that on the page, focus on critical connections more than critical mass and build the resilience by building the relationships. What it's dismantling for me in this moment is the ideology that I have to find more people in order to find the people that are going to build this with me, when in reality, they might already be sitting right in front of me. I just haven't asked the right question, right? Only this conversation can be had by the people that are in the room, right? And so fill the room with people that you already know, but have the discussions, find that conversation. So that's why we love AMB, because you can sit there and you can read it for the 18th time and find something new.
Oh yeah. So good. So good. And the power of presence, man. You can only, from the 70s, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, before that and after that, you could only always work with the people who are in the space. People try to complain about people who act very out of sight, out of mind. I'm like that. I'm very out of sight, out of mind. I have to intentionally drag my ass into community every day so that people are in my sights to care. If I didn't hear the baby crying, I wouldn't ask about the baby. And Tara knows this about me. So we have to be in the room and in the mix so that things can emerge. Yeah. Speaking of emerging, I'm currently working on the Love Revival and Academy. people are coming in from all over the world to get their chakras aligned and their energy expressed. And our Clubhouse programs are part of this. Our WhatsApp programs are part of this. It's important in your life that you recognize that it is so valuable that you see yourself in high regard. It does not matter how anybody else sees you, as long as you love and approve of yourself. And I'm going to put this up on the screen. We talked about Black audacity earlier and Black men loving themselves in public and how offensive that can be. But yo, you see me here sitting here as this, but in my mind's eye, this is what it is. It is multicultural choir, people in large theater doing concerts of their self-expression and passion expression as it relates to the message of being loved and lovable, and centering stories about what it means to be loved and lovable and coming into your truth. And the AI built this for me, and I will wear the crown, and the choir will have the robes. They should be actually wearing purple instead of red, but you know, I don't make the rules sometimes with the AI, and I forgot the prompt, but you get the point, right? Some of us are prompting ourselves into a hole, and some of us are calling forth out of the mist. You know, the iPhone that we have, the computers, the technology, every idea that exists in the universe didn't exist. Trash cans, indoor plumbing, all that was in someone's mind first, and then they manifested it. So this is on my mind. I'm looking for talent. I'm looking for people who want to vibe higher with us in remote spaces, and also partner on the land with, to make sure that people are telling their stories and that they feel loved and lovable within an inch of their lives. Tara and I are also co-piloting a program called Adopt a Black Artist. Give me 1 second to zoom this out. We recognize that all artists are important. We recognize that all artists' lives matter. We get it, girl. And there are people in society who are subjugated and not allowed to have as much as fast. And so we are centering those artists in our community strategically. And Fridays on our platform, we promote Black artists. We provide their donation links, what they want and need the most. It's not what we think they need. They self-submit and tell us what they want. And then we put it in the social, and we should be running it more. But she's got a baby and I've got ADHD. So eventually it will just be in the rotation. We'll be constantly telling you about and talking up Black people. And I know that sometimes white people, oh my God, we didn't even talk about this today. Oh my God, this is not appropriate because we already passed the deck. And let me just back up to riffs. Let me tell you something. There is a specific kind of white person that's I've seen it on Clubhouse. They're growing in mass. They are trying to pretend like to be white is actually the oppression. There's an active like narrative that's happening on Fox News or somewhere where white people in mass are starting to say things like you're bringing up race to me, and you started, you know, they're doing that to Black people, where it's like, I wouldn't be talking about like my whiteness or my race if you didn't bring it up. So why are you bringing it up to oppress us? Like I've seen it with my own eyes and ears, and I'm like, there's no fucking way we're going to let you forget about 500 years of bullshit. But nice try. Nice try. Have you seen this yet?
Well, I mean, it's reverse racism. I feel like I've seen it all my life, quite frankly.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the same thing as when white people say, well, you're just pulling the race card. You're just pulling the race card. You're pulling the race card. Even though they're the ones being racist. But yeah, it's the same.
I was like, and I watched on Clubhouse, she goes, it was crazy. And they dragged her because she was like, they were like, give us an example of like, how are you being oppressed? And she's like, well, they ask me for advice and then I give it to them and they say I wouldn't understand because I'm white. And I'm like, no black person is asking random white people for their fucking advice. We know how y'all feel about us.
Right.
And our hair and our music and our culture. Are you kidding me? So
Right.
they were like, yo, that ain't real. And also, you cannot, white people in this position and in this culture and this climate, y'all are not going to win the oppression Olympics at all. Knock it off.
Even if you do have an intersection of oppression.
Wrong man, wrong plan.
Marginalization. Like
Wrong people, wrong meeple.
Right.
No.
Exactly.
I'm hiring for Love and Action Network. Some of our opportunities are paid. Some of them are not. You can make up your own decisions, but we're going to be looking for new mods, new hosts, new producers, new managers, new outreach people, new customer care people. Like I said, some of these roles come along with profit sharing and just flat out payment. And some of this shit is just because you feel the goodness of Jesus. I should bring up the fact that Tara is an employee here of the network who pays into the network. It's like crazy, like going to work and then paying to go. It's like insane, except that we are building this in a way that will be mutually beneficial to everybody in time, talent, and treasure, and also see all the boats in the river rise. So we're hiring people as volunteers and also as paid advocates in order to increase the power of love that we want to tell through music, theater, and art. Can you say something about the hiring process and the vibe check process? Tara, these days, because of schedule permitting, has a lot of opportunities to meet with Cousin Deb and other people and do the vibe check. What has been your experience about the vibe checks that we're doing as we're bringing people on into the network?
I would just say check in with yourself and make sure you're honest, open, willing, and available truly. 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 It's not about getting things right. In fact, I would rather you get things wrong and speak authentically to yourself and me disagree with you than for you to hold back something and us not have a mutual understanding of who you are and what we can cook together.
Speaking of cooking, she's cooking. Look, this lady stands to inherit her grandmother's cast iron pot.
The Dutch oven.
I've got cast iron. I have cast iron in my house because I'm a good Southern belle, even though my husband's vegan. And there's a process when you have a good seasoned cast iron pot or pan where you start to like put the protein in there and you start to blacken it and just get all the good juices out. And that's what Tara is doing with classical music. Can you tell them a bit about your blackening of the canon and your seasoning of the dish?
Yes, I can, because also we have to have a little unboxing moment later. Probably tomorrow.
I love an unboxing.
On my address.
I also love a wandering host.
And this is a beautiful book. They hand wrote on this thing.
Don't dock yourself. There you go. All right.
They hand wrote. Very nice. Anyway, it's from William Grant Still. They're the people that keep their William Grant Still music, that keep his music, and it's a book of arias. And so I'm very excited to explore this and see what I think about that. But needless to say, I've heard every excuse in the book about why people don't sing underrepresented musics. And that is, we were talking about Charles McNair earlier, but also I think that people just need to find something that they can latch onto in this time of like, everything can activate you, child, but like you can have one thing that you latch onto. And so within this, I've had a lot of people ask me like, does my art matter that much? Like, should I be doing more? Should I be doing something? No, we can sing to our liberation. And I believe that liberation is inside of Black music and Black classical music in particular. And so that's what I'm lifting, and that's what I'm researching, and that's what I'm hoping to specialize in. Hello, please don't do that. That is a phone call on Google. Apparently I had that inbox open. But anyway, yeah, so it's right now it's a WhatsApp chat where we're chattering and people are asking me what they should sing, which I'm hopeful that this is mezzo and soprano arias by William Grant Still. So I'm hopeful that I can find something for one of our members as I delve deeper and start preparing for my third album. But yeah, it's a space for y'all to come and talk about how you're putting Black music into the world and to ask any questions surrounding that.
Tara and I both come from classical backgrounds in music, and a lot of our teachers didn't really platform or praise or champion the voices of Black people in our arenas, unless, in my instance, for some kind of like minstrelsy kind of like purpose. I was always told as a singer professionally that I needed to blacken it up, and then when I did that, it was kind of like too much. So Tara and I, it's her project. I'm really the one in the background with the pom pom saying, "Go get it, girl." Like I've always believed in this for you for well over 4 years now. If we feel underrepresented or undercared for, that is a profound opportunity for us to care for ourselves. And so, yeah, I'm really, really grateful about that. All right, so auditions are happening within the network. I will make it very clear to you in the next couple of days what we need and where we're plugging people in. So feel free to tap in on our website, lovedandlovable.bio.link, lovedandlovable.bio.link, lovedandlovable.bio.link. It's got all kinds of resources, including ways to pay Tara for her current album and donations. So go for that. And then if you're interested in releasing your voice, which is a Tara, borrowing from Tara, if you're interested in releasing your voice, setting your voice free, if you're interested in opening your throat chakra, if you're interested in increasing in confidence, if you're interested in having a community that you want to build, built for you, or be supported in building your community, that's what I do. Dr. Flo teaches people how to use their voice and build communities. There's free masterclasses daily on Clubhouse and also on other platforms. I'm one of these people that I'm so rich and abundant in my life, y'all. I can afford to give away the knowledge. I don't have the most money in the bank, and thank you for the donations. However, I'm rich enough to be able to help someone that has less than me, or someone who's like, I'm thinking of having, this manifestation in my life, or I've been thinking about building this business, or this spiritual community, or I've always wanted to do a podcast of my own, the way that you and Tara do every week. We teach that for our rate. My rate that people pay me is $150 a session, $150 US per session. But then we've worked over the last few years to build a sliding scale system that allows people to have everything at the $150 rate, but in a way that doesn't make them feel uncomfortable about their growth process. And it took years. And for those of you who are in business development and marketing, pricing is a major thing, like in marketing and business development. For those of you who've been doing it for the last decade, like me, plus pricing and making your services available to people in a way that they can munch on it and feel satisfied and honor the value prop. For those of you who can do that, and we're going to be doing workshops soon at talking about, because we need to actually, Tara, go through the glossary of business terms and teach people the business terms. Most people don't. They want to build a community or they want to start, but they don't even know what a value proposition is.
Right.
And let me not. We can tell that you don't know what your value proposition and we always never miss the moment to teach. It is what you're able to provide and value to someone in conversation, time, talent, and treasure, folks. And some of y'all don't know what you have to give or what you have to say or what your value prop is, and we can help you. Tara runs this amazing program that we need to do a workshop on soon about nail your intro. If you don't know what you're saying after I am, hello, I am, or hello, my name is, get your ass in one of our paid workshops so we can make you comfortable about telling people what you want to do with your life. Y'all are mumbling too much. Let me get the fuck up out of here. I don't mumble. But y'all be like, yo, tell me something about yourself. Well, Dr. Flo, basket weaving, songwriting. I'm like, what the fuck? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want from me? And more than what you want from me, because why am I in it? What do you want from your life? I'm gonna land here in my closing thought. We have a birth date and a death date. And all of us right now, under the sound of my voice in the podcast and television show, we're in the dash. Stop focusing. I mean, thank you for focusing, but then stop focusing on what the fuck I'm doing with my dash and go and do your dash. We should build a program, Tara, called Do Your Dash.
Do your dash.
Better than DoorDash. What are you dashing in your life? What are your closing thoughts? Like, what was the biggest kind of energy and takeaway of our hour and a half of gathering on the internet? This is gonna be so much fun to produce. I hope we still have the footage. We got tanked like once for being really, really bold.
Yeah.
I've got redundancies in place. We were recording in like 3 different places, so we got what we need for liberation. But they really tried it. I mean, my lights were on. There were tons of things still connected to the internet, but we got disconnected when we called out the 8.5 by 11s for their lack of empathy.
That part.
Spicy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's always more fun when there's somebody in the comment section commenting around what we're talking about. And it's also, I always end these with like, just remembering, and I say this all the time and I teach this, but like, just remembering how connected we all are. And like, how these topics are so interconnected. Like we started in the NFL draft and ended, and meandered to Shiloh and talking about the arts. And like, I just really, I'm just really struck quite often by how interconnected it is and how we talked about love is simple in the clubhouse rooms yesterday. And I'm just always struck by the simplicity of the solution if we allowed the solution to be simplistic. And like, that is what I'm always thinking about. Like, would it not be simpler to not want to punish people? Would it not be simpler to reach for joy? Would it not be simpler to just like speak? Would it not be simpler to not try to be right all the time? Like, and so I just think about that often at the end of sessions of just like, how simple can we make this?
I love the simplicity of your love. I haven't said it in a while, Tara. How sweet it is to be loved by you.
How sweet it is to be loved by you. There's one more. My mama used to sing me. I don't know if I've ever said this. Maybe I have. But my mama, when I was little, and I sing it to Piper every once in a while, but used to sing to me, have I told you lately that I love you?
Oh, yeah.
You fill my heart with gladness. Take away all my sadness. Ease my troubles. That's what you do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matisa.
Thanks, Amatisa.
Shout out to Matisa. We love you. Ama, we love you.
Leave that at the door.
Do you want to close us out with your infamous, famous, amazing?
Listen, the people demand.
People are at the gate saying, "Give us."
And then you have to go eat because your husband is going to be home, and I'm going to get in trouble. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna be in trouble. Anyway, from all of us here at Love and Action Network, so that Flo can go eat. From awesome Angie to cousin Debs, who will be here on Wednesday, to me at Tara Prilo Studio, at PoppyWater33, at Andre and the Flow. Continue to be anti-racist, be safe, wear a mask, make good trouble, do good work. I love y'all hardcore. You are loved and lovable, and ain't nobody can change that. Tell 5 people today. Joy is our revolution. Step into it, belong to it, walk in